What's up? What's up?
If you are just tuning in to Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox, this is Financial First Friday, and we are live. And I am here with Boca. How you doing today, Boca?
I'm doing incredible, man. Better than ever.
All right. That's a great thing. Better than ever, huh?
Better than ever, man.
Man, that's extremely good. I just don't know how to take that. I am traveling next week, so I'm doing great.
Okay.
Well, I'm always excited the week before I get to get on a plane and leave all of my reality behind and go explore part of the world.
So are you going to stay in the country or go
Well,
out of the country?
apparently I am staying in the country, but when she first brought it, I'm slow. I know I'm not the only one because I talked to a lady yesterday and she didn't know. So I'm going to Puerto Rico, right? I didn't know that was part of the United States.
It is. It is.
Yes, I don't need a
Mhm.
passport. When my
No.
friend said, "Hey, I'm planning a group getaway. You want to go? We're going to Puerto Rico." I'm like, "Yeah, girl. Like, I'm a passport. I'm ready." She's like, "You don't need no passport." And she ain't got no passport. So I'm just like,
Right.
"What?" Because yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that. So for everybody who's a little slow like me, Puerto Rico is part of the United States. You don't need a passport, and they use the dollar. So I was disappointed because when you go out of the country, usually the dollar is worth more than whatever their money is, and so you could get a lot of stuff for a little bit.
Yes.
No, they gonna charge me anyway. So speaking of money, so why don't you introduce yourself to our first time listeners and then let's hop right into the show.
Yeah, so I'm Boca Wargelo. Been licensed in the financial industry since the year 2003, which all of a sudden is a very long time ago.
Yes.
Uh, yeah. And Series 6, 63, and 65 license, been helping people in the area of personal finance for a very long time. Right now, specializing in retirement planning. So if you're even thinking about retirement, I just watched a video where the guy was talking about the excuses why people want to stay on their job when they're coming close to retirement. And a lot of it just stems from they're just nervous. They don't think they're ready, and you know, and it's just an excuse. It's just a rationalization for not looking into really retiring. So look into it. Most people are closer than they think they are when it comes to retirement.
It's funny. I was just listening to so I'm redoing the house that I'm in right now to potentially make it a short-term lease income space, and they were talking about mailbox money. You know, when you have your income properties and all that other kind of stuff, then you get
Yeah,
mailbox money.
that's
And,
right.
that's my goal. I, I'm
Yeah,
I'm on that.
nothing wrong with that.
I'm on the mailbox money trail. I'm working to make that happen, man. That's a great thing.
Xavier, however it can come that you don't have to physically work for it, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? We call that being financially independent, where all your income that you need to live is passive. You know, when it's active, it's always at risk. You could always get hurt. You could always get sick. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
But
when
that
it's
mailbox
passive,
money.
man,
Mm-hmm.
to live your life, don't have to worry about anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so tell us about I've heard of an IRA. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
IRA stands for, but I'm sure it's a
Yeah.
retirement account. I don't know
Yes.
what does the I stand for?
Individual.
Individual retirement
Yeah.
account. So tell us
Yes.
about those and what the benefits are and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, the individual part means maybe not obviously, but you can't have a joint IRA with somebody. It has to be just you.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so the purpose of the IRA is really twofold to me. The main purpose of the IRA is that the US government knows that if they have a bunch of broke people at retirement, it's going to be a burden on the whole country. Okay. So they also know that people need to be incentivized to do the things that they should be doing anyway. And one of the things that people should be doing anyway is saving for retirement. You know, Social Security was never meant to fund your whole retirement. You know, it's supposed to be a supplement, it's supposed to help you out. And back in the day, every company had a pension.
Right.
You work for 50 years, you turn 65, whatever, you get a gold watch, they pay you for the rest of your life, they pay your health care, you get a supplement with Social Security, you're good to go.
Yep.
Okay?
And that's what they
But
call.
pensions started, yeah, yeah. But pensions started getting too expensive for companies the longer people lived.
Mm,
Can you imagine you paying a pension to somebody who hasn't worked for your company for 30 years? They still alive. You know what I mean? So it was getting too expensive for private sector companies. So most people do not have a pension. So now,
yeah.
dude, how are you going to make it? It's going to be your personal savings and that Social Security to help you, right?
I hear
So
Social Security is on its way out too.
yeah, I don't think that's true, but we can definitely talk about that on another subject. But
Okay.
I understand the reason people say that.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen. But um, yeah, so the only incentive that the government has is what? A tax break.
Mm,
That's only because you can't pay people to do it. You know what I mean? But you can give them a tax break if they do it, right? So the way the IRAs work is that the money that grows inside the IRA
hmm.
is not going to be taxed while it's growing.
Until you take
Okay?
them out.
Right now. And that's where you get the two types of IRAs. Okay. Now, before I say that, the best place to save for retirement, if you're starting to save for retirement, which should be as soon as you get your first job, the best place is if your company has a 401k with a match, not just a 401k, but a 401k where if you put in some, they put in some for you. You
Mhm.
want to save there first. Why?
Because it grows twice as fast.
That's free money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where you going to get a 100% return, or if they match 50 cents on the dollar, 50% return guaranteed, and then the return grows. So you want to go first with your first retirement saving dollar to somewhere that can match it. Okay. Now, if your company does not have a 401k with a match, then we'll talk about other places. But before you go to your IRA, if your company has a match, just call HR, find out. Probably some people that have been working at your company a while probably know. But if not, just call HR, find out, do you match my retirement savings? If so, you want to go get that match. Okay. All right. So let's talk about IRAs. There's two types of IRAs. Like you were saying, you get taxed when you take the money out. It's not always true. Okay. The first type of IRA is what we call a traditional IRA. They didn't used to call it traditional because there was no other kind for a while. Um, but traditional IRA works like this. There's three phases to retirement savings. Number one is you putting the money in. Number two is the money growing. And number three is you taking the money out.
Okay.
One is you putting it in. Two is it's growing. Three is you taking the money out. So when it comes to traditional IRAs, you get a tax deduction when you put the money in. So if you put in $1,000, that $1,000 is tax deductible, which means it reduces your taxable income. So if you put in 5,000 for the year and you make 50,000, now you're gonna get taxed as if you made 45,000 instead. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's tax deductible. Okay, so you get that tax break on the front end. While the money is growing, none of the growth, none of the interest, none of the returns gets taxed. Now, if you're in a regular bank account, if you have a regular, what we call brokerage account, if you're investing in stocks or anything like that, all that stuff that's outside of an IRA, every year you make money, like realized money, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to tax you every year. Okay. But in an IRA, they don't tax you. Okay. So this is while the money's growing. The last thing is when you take the money out. So when you take the money out, because you got the tax deduction in the beginning, then when you take the money out, every dollar that comes out of your traditional IRA
Mm-hmm.
is taxable at whatever tax bracket you're in at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's taxable at whatever tax bracket you're in at the time. Okay, so tax deduction when you're putting the money in, tax deferred, we call that tax deferred while the money's growing, and then taxed at what we call ordinary income, whichever is your tax bracket when you take the money out. That's traditional. Okay. So your tax savings is basically on the front end plus while your money is growing. Okay. Okay. Roth is different. There was a senator named Roth, and he said, well, why should people have to pay taxes? And we say we're giving them an incentive, but they have to pay taxes at the end, right? So he offered up an alternative to a traditional IRA. And he said, look, I want it to be where they don't have to pay the taxes at the end.
I
And
like
then the way it works is this, right? So remember the three phases. When you put the money in on a Roth, you get no tax break at all. Okay? No tax break at all for putting the money in. Okay? And that does something for you. Remind me to come back to that.
Okay.
While the money is growing, it's the same tax deferred. Traditional and Roth are the same in the middle while the money's growing.
Okay.
Okay? Tax deferred. You don't get taxed on the growth. The difference is, since they did not give you a tax break in the beginning, when you take the money at the end, it's 100% tax free. You never have to pay any taxes ever on the money that goes in, nor the money that grows. You with me?
Yeah. So that means, so when with the first one, you get taxed at whatever income level you're at that point. So if we're talking 30 years later, when you put
Yeah.
it in, you could have been in the $30,000 a year tax bracket versus now you may be in a six-figure tax bracket, right?
Well, you could be, but we're talking about retirement income because you're probably not going to take out until you leave your job.
So that
So,
you probably, oh, so when you leave your job, you're saying at that point you're in a no income tax bracket, pretty.
well,
Okay.
that counts as your income. Whatever you taking out of there counts as your income.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you're taking out of there counts as your income, whatever income you have. But probably it's not going to be your job income. You're probably going to wait to take out of the IRA when you're retired. So it's probably not going to be your job income. You know what I'm saying?
So if that is your only income,
Yes. Whatever, however much you take out, that's the tax bracket you're going to be in.
so if you take $5,000, are they just going, that's what you got?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So
Yep.
that's the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Okay. But if you're retired and you've
Hmm.
actually done some investing and stuff, you could have mailbox money.
That's correct.
And so then
All,
all of
mhm.
that would count.
All of your income counts to determine the tax bracket. Yep. Whatever income that you get counts towards the tax bracket.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about some other differences between the two. We got the three phases, right?
Yep.
Okay, now. Oh, remember how I said that you don't get a tax break when you put the money into the Roth IRA and that ends up giving you a benefit?
Yes.
Okay. Now, because the IRAs are meant for retirement, right? And
Mhm.
you're given the tax break because it's for retirement. If you take out before retirement, they're going to penalize you. You
Mm,
follow me?
mhm.
They define retirement as age 59 and a half,
Okay.
or you have to be in it for 5 years, whichever is further away. Okay. So if you take out before 59 and a half on a traditional IRA, not only do you have to pay the taxes, but they're also going to give you a 10% penalty. Okay.
Good grief. 10%
Yeah.
of everything you have in there?
No, 10% of whatever you take out.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's
So you pay the taxes on whatever you take out, and they're going to charge you 10% on whatever you take out. Okay. Now, and that's because you got the tax break in the beginning, the tax deduction. But with Roth, you don't get the tax deduction in the beginnings. Therefore, if you wanted to take out before 59 and a half, and you only take out the money you put in, there's no taxes even before retirement because they didn't give you any tax advantage when you put the money in, right? So you can take out of a Roth IRA just what you put in. We call that either the principal or we call it the cost basis, the money you put in. You can take that out at any time. No taxes, no penalties because you didn't get a tax break when you put the money in. You follow me?
yep.
Okay, cool. So that's one thing good about Roth IRAs on the front end. Okay. Now let's look at the very, very back end. At a certain age, for some people, it's going to be as late as 75. Some people are 73. But at a certain age, you have to start taking out of your traditional IRA.
You have to.
You have to, because they gave you the tax break. They haven't taxed any of the gains. They want their taxes. You know what I'm saying?
I
You
bet
know
you.
what I mean? They want to get some taxes off that joint. So depending on when you were born determines your age where you have what they call required minimum distributions. You follow me? Required minimum distribution. Because they know when you take the money out of that traditional IRA, they're going to get some taxes, right? So at some point, they want some of those taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Roth, even when you take the money out, they're not going to get any taxes. So there are no required minimum distributions on a Roth.
Okay.
There's,
But
there's
what's
only
the benefit of leaving it in there though? I mean, you put it in there too.
so some people they don't need the money.
Oh,
They don't need the money. They want their kids to have it or whatever else. Maybe it's a dual income household and all they need for retirement is one of the spouses. IRAs, 401ks are called those qualified accounts. They need one of the spouses, retirement accounts, both the social securities and a pension, and they don't need the other one. And maybe they want to leave it for the kids. You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
So you can
You
leave
know,
it to your kids.
oh yeah. In order to fill out the application for an IRA, you have to put a beneficiary, right? So you don't even need a will for the person to get that money. You know what I mean? There's a beneficiary. So what happens is when they get the death certificate, they will write a check immediately to the beneficiary, as long as they verify themselves or whatever. They don't play with that, you know? So there's always a beneficiary on every retirement account, 401ks, 457s, 403bs, IRAs, everything. You have to have a beneficiary on.
So let me ask you this simply because some of our parents didn't keep really great records or kept too many pieces of paper that was pretty unnecessary. What if the beneficiary has no idea that they are the beneficiary or where that information is? How would they find out if one of the parents had a Roth IRA?
That's the problem. They're gonna have to know um, the parents' finances, and that's something as you get older that you have to know what's going on with your parents' stuff. You have to know
They
what's
don't
going
like to
on with
tell
their
you,
stuff.
depending on how old. Like I came from that era, my parents didn't really want to tell you nothing, right?
Ugh.
And then, like with my mom, she developed dementia, so then she
Yes.
couldn't tell us anything. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's
That's
life
right.
insurance policies that I found later on that they're not going to pay out now because by the time I found them, she hadn't made payments on them in a couple years,
Oh my gosh. Right.
and that's a whole problem that nobody even thinks about.
Yeah.
The
That is a
dementia
problem.
is a real issue and it causes real
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah. You need to get that power of attorney ASAP and start looking into their stuff. But I will tell you this, that company that they have the IRA with is under zero obligation to hunt down that beneficiary.
I bet.
They ain't gonna spend the time to go hunt down that. They're just not gonna do it. So yeah, no, you have to know. Now I know that, and I don't know all the details of it, but there are some websites online to where you can find old 401ks, but I'm not sure about the IRA piece. Yeah, I think you would have to know, you'd have to know their business. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And if
Yeah,
you're
you
not
would have
close
to know.
to them or if they're kind of secretive because
That's right.
they my dad was 91 when he died. My mom's still here.
Hmm.
But unfortunately with all the digging, and she's one of those, she not I wouldn't call her a hoarder, but she
Yeah.
definitely had more paperwork than she needed. Like you need the information, period. You don't need
Yes.
all of the other payment stuff.
That's right.
You get cluttered up with so much paper until it's frustrating. You don't know what you actually do need
That's right.
because you're
That's
looking,
right.
and it's really bad with families whose parent or parents have dementia because they can't tell you anything at that point.
That's right.
And some dementia patients deteriorate faster than others.
Yes.
So you're dealing with adjusting to the illness. So you never even really get to talk about the finances. And then it's too late. Even though they're still
Yes.
alive, you can't get any
Yes.
information.
Yes. That's totally true. I can see that.
That
I
it
can see that.
yeah, that
Yeah, but if you don't know, it's tough. I mean,
because
I
as you
mean,
mentioned it, I remember hearing my parents talk about a Roth IRA. I remember
hmm
hearing that term before, but I don't know if either of them had one or not. And if they did, who would it be with? Where would it be? Where's the
right,
information?
right. Exactly, 100%. Yeah, that's very important stuff. And a lot of times people don't think about that stuff until it's too late.
That's exactly when you think about it. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like, and I'm just gonna say this and then we're gonna get back on track. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't know that Medicare, which is what you're promised to get once you hit 65 or whatever, it's the old people stuff from the state. But Medicare doesn't cover any long-term care.
No,
And so if you don't just die, if you get dementia or if you get some type of illness that keeps you from being able to take care of yourself on a regular basis and you need long-term care, you're kind of out of luck because Medicare
big
is not going
time.
to cover it.
Yeah, that's a very, very tough subject. We don't know how to work it because there used to be this thing called, well, there still is, this thing called long-term care insurance.
Mhm.
However, for a lot of people, it's prohibitively expensive
Exactly.
because that care is so expensive, man. You
Exactly.
know, they got to have somebody come in like most times every day,
And
so
yes,
we,
and
we
24
we haven't thought
hour
of a good solution for that yet as a
24-hour
country.
care is almost non-existent. So then you go to a nursing home, and if you go to one
Yes,
that is halfway decent, that doesn't smell like death when you walk into it, those are super expensive.
you gotta pay.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's super expensive. So it's really tough. And a lot of people also don't know that term life insurance expires when you're 85.
Well, depending on the company, but yes,
In general,
absolutely.
yes, it has a term.
Mhm.
Has a termination date. That's what term actually means. So you need whole
That's
life
right.
insurance. My dad outlived his term life insurance.
Right.
He was 91 when he died.
Yeah.
He had a
Well,
policy. It was no longer any good.
well, you need to have money because all the life insurance company does is pay out to a beneficiary. So whether the life insurance pays or what you have saved pays, you just need to have something for your beneficiaries. That's all. You don't necessarily have to have life insurance, but you have to have money. You have to have something.
And the that's gonna start at about $9,000. So because you got to put them in something that starts at about $9,000. It's really crazy. It's really crazy.
It's
But
crazy.
we're already at 12:25, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish and wrap it up because this time flew.
Okay. Well, the number one thing is this. If you haven't started saving for retirement, save for retirement. And if you can get a tax break or tax deductions for your savings, definitely do that. Like I said in the beginning, the place you want to start would be your company's 401k if you have a match. Okay. However, if they don't have a match, go ahead and use that Roth IRA, 100% tax free, 100% in your control. You pick the investments and things of that nature. And the last thing I did want to say, I didn't mention, IRAs don't have no return, guys. You have to invest in something, and then that something goes into the IRA. Okay. So, like the investments like mutual funds, stocks, bonds, whatever, they're the fertilizer for your money. They grow your money. Okay. The IRA is like the what do you call that thing? Like the greenhouse for your money. It stops the bugs from getting in and eating away at your investment returns. You know what I mean? So the IRAs, they protect money from taxes. They don't grow money. Because I hear a lot of people saying, oh, what does an IRA pay? What is the interest on an IRA? Nothing, zero. Okay. You have to invest the money and then put it in the IRA, or
So you
the
have
IRA
to
houses your investment. The IRA houses your investment. Your investment is the fertilizer. Your IRA is the greenhouse.
Okay, so
protection.
just real quick in these last 3 minutes. So how is that different from me just investing my money and putting it in my bank account
Well, two ways. Number one, there is no tax protection on the bank account. Okay. And talking about an IRA, right?
versus my regular bank account versus
Yeah.
the IRA? Yes.
Yeah. So the regular bank account, those tax protections that we talked about, you don't get that in what we call a non-qualified account. So every year when you make money in the bank off of interest, they send you a letter. The bank sends you a letter, tells you how much interest you made that year because they're going to tax that money. But
Mm.
when it's in an IRA, you don't get that letter. They don't worry about that. It doesn't matter how much you made in the IRA that year. There's no tax bill due. Okay, so that's the one difference. The other difference is investing, putting the money in the bank gets you very, very low returns, right? When you put your money in an IRA, you have a choice of where to invest. Now you can go into stocks. Now you can go into mutual funds. Now you can go into ETFs. You have a choice of some vehicles that get you much, much better returns than the bank.
Okay. All right. Well, we might have to continue talking about this. Oh, it's October. We're getting ready
Yes.
to go on hiatus.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to talk about that as well. So we have to definitely get you into the blogging thing so we can get the questions flowing and you can still guide people, especially during the holidays. Because a lot of people go through the holidays and then they blow their whole savings and got to start over every January.
That's real.
I know we really need to talk to some people about that stuff. So, all right,
That's real.
everybody out there, thanks for joining us on this first Friday for First Financial Friday. We are talking to Boca about IRAs, the traditional and the Roth. It has been very informative. Thank you, Boca.
You're welcome.
As we see that you're in the car, where are you heading?
I'm heading over to see a client in Montgomery County, Maryland.
Oh, is that a long drive from where you usually are?
Yeah, it's about an hour from me. I'm in Baltimore, and yeah, he's on the other side.
Okay.
He's on the other side. Yep, and talk to him about investing, mutual funds, IRAs, all the same stuff we're talking about right now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing all of that stuff with us. Those of us who are trying to build wealth and get some mailbox money going on too.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, you drive safe and we will chat with you next month.
All right, sounds great. Talk to you guys later.
Have a great one. Everybody, make sure that you're tuning in to Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox every first Friday, every third Saturday, and every fourth Friday. And you can find all the platforms that we're available on my website, xavierfox.com. So check us out there and make sure you tune in. So until next time, stay safe and be prosperous. And we're out.
All right, take care.